Hi, this is Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin. Great news for the people of Wickliffe. Today we announced a $200 million investment by a company that only just recently came to Kentucky. Phoenix Paper bought an old paper mill that had been shut down some years ago.
James Travis is the lead mechanic for the factory's paper machine. He had worked at the mill for 15 years before it was shut down in 2016. A couple of years later, he came back when Chinese-funded Phoenix Paper reopened the mill.
Now we've got 2 or 3 restaurants that are open back up. Things are starting to really get going. The worst part, I guess, is trying to find, good qualified mechanics. I mean, it's hard to find good ones. It is a huge shot in the arm for Wickliffe, the surrounding area. It has been here since 1970. For years, local people have worked here. Right now, we're in the process of changing some press rolls. Just pretty much anything that breaks down or needs to be repaired on the machine, that's what we do. I feel like it's still an American-made product. The product is made here in the U.S. by Americans, and the payroll and the money that we're making, we're turning right around, and we're putting it in our economy, a local economy. And I feel like it doesn't matter who owns it. When we shut down, there for a while, nobody was really sure which way to go, and we thought it was going to be just for a short period of time. A lot of people, including myself, we had to go elsewhere and do other things. And when we found out that it was going to open back up, it was a big deal because of all the people that, not only the 300 or so of us that work here, but the loggers, the grocery store owners, the convenience mart people. It affects everybody in this area, in this community.
Our main source of income, I would say, is the mill. So we take at least 3 deliveries there for lunch every day. They all come in for breakfast in the mornings.
It's worked out good, and without the paper mill, without people, you have no demand. So anytime you got business and industry around, it's always good.
Kevin Jeong has been in the paper-making business for nearly 2 decades. He works for Shanying Group, the Chinese investor for Phoenix Paper. Kevin moved to Kentucky in 2019 to take over as the mill's CEO. He's the man responsible for the productivity of this factory, which turns around 300,000 tons of paper a year.
I think Phoenix Paper is not a Chinese company. We're total 300 employees, but Chinese only me. We rely on the local team, local employee, not Chinese. So I think this is the globalization company. In China paper mill, we use this waste paper to produce the high quality paper and packaging to sell to our customer. In 2017, this is our first visit to the United States paper mill. There's a very abundant forest resource. There's outstanding paper industrial work. So from 2017, we want to investment paper mill in United States.
Now, Chinese expertise in recycling guides how Phoenix Paper operates. High-quality paper relies on clean water. The mill here processes around 40 million gallons of water a day, which comes from the Mississippi River.
The wastewater treatment is very important to us. We partner with the state that's heavily regulated within the U.S. There's a lot of government regulations and permitting required to operate. So we make sure that no matter what we do, that we're producing in a manner that's not only good for the environment, but also provides a sustainable production process for our company.
Jason Brown is the Human Resources Director at the mill. He's a local who returned home to Western Kentucky to start a family. And here he found an opportunity for career growth.
What you see around me is all of the finished rolls that have been wrapped that are getting ready to head for shipment to the customers. For me personally, the reinvestment by a Chinese company is just like an investment from other foreign entities. There's German companies, there's Japanese companies, there's English companies, there's companies from all over the world that invest in the U.S. So sometimes I think that people get a little lost in the weeds on the political side on whether it's China versus the U.S. My opinion, it's not really about who's got the upper hand. It's more about partnering and building something.
After a year of slashed sales forecasts for the traditional car market, electric vehicles provided a bright spot for the auto industry.
In the U.S., nearly half of all EV sales are made in California.
Tesla may be one of the biggest names in electric vehicles, but it's far from the only one. Outside of Los Angeles are the headquarters of Karma Automotive, a luxury electric car company.
Our brand is Karma. Karma means doing something good now and get good return in the future. So that's our company's mission and vision. That means Karma, we always try to create a new technology to protect our environment, to provide the best technology to reduce the emission.
In late 2013, the company was on the verge of shutting down when a Chinese investor purchased it at a bankruptcy auction.
The largest shareholder is Wangshan Automotive. It is one of the world's largest automotive component suppliers. And automotive is always part of their passion.
So this is our warehouse. We have a good portion of the parts that we receive from China. I think it's pretty various. You know, some of it electronics are battery related. We also have sister plants that we work with in China.
This is the manufacturing facility we started up in May of 2017 when the first vehicle rolled off the line. It is 550,000 square foot in size, so it's quite big. And we've broken up this plant into a warehouse, our body shop, our paint, and our general assembly. As most automotive companies will tell you, there's a global supply chain. China is a large part of it, Europe, but also parts from Mexico. Our amplifiers are coming from Australia. Our touchscreens are coming from England. I mean, you name it. I don't think there's any market in the world where we don't source parts from. In the end of the day, it's a puzzle with 3,500 pieces, and they get sourced globally.
The California plant can produce up to 15,000 vehicles a year. The company has plans to ramp up production to meet growing global demand.
If you look at 5, 6, 7 years ago when the market was just starting up in electric vehicles, a lot of technology was put in the marketplace that wasn't really fully baked. And it was a very tough market for startup companies to actually bring their product to market because the supply chain wasn't ready for it and the consumers weren't ready for it. Now, over the last 6, 7 years, that of course has changed a lot.
So we are on this stage in order to we can leverage Chinese and the American market. We can leverage the supply chain, customers, then we can utilize our technology to scale. We are ready to do that right now.
We've gone through a period of escalating partnership, especially after 2008 during the recession for the United States. What we saw is that a lot of Chinese investments are coming into the United States, especially in the West Coast, in California. In 2016, we had about $16 billion in investment from China alone into California.
Nicknamed the Motor City, in its heyday, Detroit was a vibrant, bustling metropolis centered on the automotive industry. But facing increased international competition, car companies began to shut down or move operations out of the city. Detroit went from one of the wealthiest cities in the nation to one of the most impoverished.
Development today in Detroit's financial crisis.
This has been decades and decades. The city is...
And part of the reason that this is going to get nasty is, of course,
there's no safety net for these people largely to fall back on. In 1950, had 1.8 million people, now 700,000. Whitley can't service it all, and they don't have the tax base to do it. Anybody with any
22 pages of terror.
The city is...
One former elected official who has deep knowledge of Detroit's finances.
Anybody with any money has left town.
A lot of people at that time were moving out of Michigan because there was no really jobs or anything like that.
In 2007, Scott Kalkofen was a plant manager at ACH, an auto parts maker owned by the Ford Motor Company. That year, Ford announced it was getting out of the auto parts business. Whether ACH would close or become acquired by another company was up in the air.
Just a ton of different things that are going through your head during that time as you're trying to make your house payments and you're trying to, fend for your family and things like that. So am I going to move out of state? Do I have to move my whole family? What am I going to do? I've been in the auto industry this entire time. How am I going to, translate my skills over into another industry?
Outside of Chicago, Pin Ni runs the U.S. division of Wansheng Group, the largest Chinese auto parts maker. Over the years, it acquired several facilities in the Midwest, including in the Detroit area.
I came here in 1992 as a student to Kentucky, and then I moved here in 1994 to start this business called Wansheng America Corporation. So I'm the president from day one. I'm still the president today.
We have many customers. This could even go to Mexico, go to Canada, and some of them are even, we need to reship them to Europe as well. So there's all over the place.
Very quickly, we saw so many synergies between US-China, especially through the downturn back in the 2008, 2009. We took plans from Ford, from Chrysler, and we just grow dramatically.
One of the plants was where Kalkofen worked. In 2007, ACH was acquired by Niapco. Wansheng Group has invested in both Karma and Niapco.
So it was depression to excitement in a matter of months. I was on the transition team, putting together what pieces of equipment are going to be moving to Niapco, what components from the suppliers are going to be switched over, and then how do we start getting all the suppliers on board. That type of coordination was really exciting.
The plant makes drive shafts, a crucial part responsible for delivering power from the engine to the wheels.
So we're looking at the manufacturing of drive shafts. We're trying to get any wobble, any distortion in that shaft to be removed so that when you're in your vehicle, you don't feel any vibration in your seat. After that's done, we're shipped off to the assembly plant. So in our particular case, we're shipping to Ford, GM, and Stellantis, going into F-150s, Silverado, Colorado Canyons, Navigators, anything that's a rear-wheel drive application and it's a truck is pretty much going to use a drive shaft.
We've been in steady growth mode for Niapco. So we're approaching now $1 billion business globally. So that has been, tremendous amount of growth in the last 13 years, both through acquisition from our competitors, but also just growing what we already have. If I didn't tell you that Wansheng was the financial investor, you would have no idea that it was Chinese ownership that runs this. So I think it can work. There's a model that says that it can work, and we're proving that it can work.
My question was, can you define what do you mean about American company? I said, is Apple an American company? But Apple doesn't make anything here. I make 90% of my product in the United States, in the 26 states. Every penny on our balance sheet is with the US Bank here. So if I was not an American company, who is the American company?
Globalization is a part of the human reality. It changes in its nature, communications, transport, technology change in very dramatic ways that create new ways of living, but the interconnectedness one can trace throughout all of human history.